Michael Presta, USA Today. You mentioned earlier you've been through a lot of rivalries in a lot of places. They all have passion. They all have emotion. What is absolutely, positively unique about this one?
Well, I think every person in regionally, I imagine UCLA, USC, or Alabama, Auburn, or Florida, Georgia, everybody has their, this is home. If you're asking me what makes it unique is the fact that I grew up in a state, and this is all I knew. This is all, if you're in the state of Ohio, this is all you know growing up. And that's what makes it so unique. Then also, I think the Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes era, when college football really started to explode on a national level, I think that's what made this such a visual rivalry for the country to see.
One other thing, I know this isn't on your radar screen this week especially. Do you have any thoughts on Maryland joining this conference?
No, Gene approached me I think it was yesterday. It was the first time I even heard about it. And I looked at him and said, "You're what?" And I think it's supposed to happen here, or they're voting or something, but I don't. Did they? Are they in?
Yeah. Rutgers tomorrow.
Is that right?
Boomer's eligibility's up.
Who's that?
Boomer's eligibility's up.
Back row left, Matt.
Matt McCoy, WTVN. You mentioned John Simon and talked about him, but the senior class as a whole, how important have they been to this season, also establishing what you're trying to establish going forward? And is it bittersweet for you that this is it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I usually get emotional talking about those guys, but those kids could have all went wherever they wanted to go. I still remember that day when we walked in and he said, "You're not going to bowl game," and I thought, "We're not what?" It was right there as well. And then my mind started thinking about this year's team. So those seniors, if I remember right, if I read these rules right, they can leave, they can pick up and go without punishment. So I called a team meeting within 15 minutes. We had one. I kept the seniors after. I had no idea who they were. They didn't know me. So it was a leap of faith. But I think it was also their love for their school. When you look at these kids, now that I know them, I know exactly why they stayed. It's for the love of Ohio State. And it's really cool in this day and age to witness that. And we're forever indebted to them because they didn't have to do what they did. I should say that because they didn't. They certainly didn't owe Urban Meyer or this coaching staff a thing. But their love of this university was very apparent that day.
Front row left, Doug. Doug Landry, Cleveland Plain Dealer. Urban, what's your relationship with Brady Hoke? Did you cross paths with him much over the years at different stops? Or?
Not much. Greg Madison was probably our relationship that I knew Greg, and Greg was very close with Brady, and I think we had dinner twice or something like that. But other than that, not much.
You mentioned Bo and Woody and what they did with the 10-year war and this rivalry. Here you are in your first year. It's Brady Hoke's second year. He seems to get the tradition of the game and everything at Michigan the same way you get it here. What do you think it means when you have two coaches like that who not only are having success but are so invested in the history of the rivalry as well, that both you guys grew up with this?
Well, I think that's when you start using the term like war, all due respect. I mean, this is not war, it's a game, but it's a very intense game when this is home. When he's born in the state of Ohio, which I still don't get, that's another story. I guess it adds to the intensity to ask your question, rather obviously, and I think when you're talking about it's close to home, and that adds to the fuel to the fire.
Second row left, Kenny.
Kenny Rhoda, ESPN Cleveland. Urban, are you at all concerned about the pressure of this week, being that it's senior day, it's the Michigan game, a chance to go undefeated, and an outside chance at an AP national championship?
I'm concerned, but the good thing is I've been coaching for a while now, and nothing you can control other than getting ready to go play the game. So I think you learn that along your journey. I think if I was the first rodeo and all that, then it'd be worried about this, worried about that. We're going to have a really, really hard practice tomorrow, and that's going to take care of all worrying about those other things. So I am concerned, but you got to move forward and do the best you can.
Looking back to last week's game and the way Wisconsin was able to slow down your offense, a lot of teams try and copy things that were successful. What did you see on film as to why they were successful in slowing down Bradford?
It was bad. We didn't play very well, and we didn't coach very well. We could have done much better. We were in a bad field position game the entire second half. We started the game great. I mean, we had a 10-play drive, 8-play drive, 8-play drive. plus field position, doing great, and then just backed up and we kind of tightened down a little bit. Because we figured a turnover would lose that game. Our defense is playing good, and obviously I got to take responsibility because Tom and I called that game, and it was not. We want to open this thing up. We have to against this team we're playing. We have to open this offense up, and trust that good things are going to happen, and that's what happened. But you figure our starting field position was just awful. It was like, for some reason, I felt that student body was chasing us around every time we took a snap. The student body, other than overtime, we moved it down the other side.
Couple more questions.
Traditions, Steve Howell with Puck Nights. One of the newer traditions since the 90s for this team has been the former players, the tunnel of pride. Is that something you guys are going to bring back and endorse?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know much about it other than, like, I heard about it before, and absolutely.
I think Archie Griffin started it in 95.
Who did?
Archie Griffin.
Oh, did he?
That guy, 95, I think. When they played Notre Dame, then they've done it for Michigan every time since.
Oh, great. Yeah, we certainly will continue that.
Far right, your Todd.
Todd Jones, Columbus Dispatch. Urban, this game also culminates quite a year for yourself. Going back to last November, unfortunately lost your father and decided to take this job. Can you just kind of reflect on what has this year been like for you personally? And what have you learned about yourself as a coach and as a player this past year? I mean, not as a player, obviously, but as a person.
Well, I certainly learned